Charlie Kirk, an American hero and martyr for his faith in Jesus, was an outspoken defender of Israel. But since his assassination, the "it was the Jews" crowd has been very vocal online. Well, Shimon Myers, the CEO of Arise, joins us now. So, Shimon, what do you make of these conspiracies?
Not a whole lot, to be honest with you. I would like to just first of all, as an Israeli, someone of Jewish descent, and also as an American, express my deep sorrow over the passing of Charlie Kirk. He was a true friend, a friend of Israel, and a friend of Judeo-Christian values, and had so much respect, and still do, for Charlie. I think it's a good time to focus on what we do know, which is that Charlie Kirk was an outspoken friend of Israel until the day he died. And yes, he had some criticisms for Israel, just as so many others do. His were probably minor in comparison. But one of the nice things about Israel is, even as an Israeli citizen, someone residing in Israel, you can openly criticize Israel. There's freedom of speech in Israel, and so you can do that. But I want to just think about what we do know about Israel. So we know that Charlie Kirk was a friend of Israel, outspoken supporter of Israel. And in looking at the global response to Charlie's passing, I think if you do a broad sweep of statements from across the world, you'd find probably significant lacking response in terms of expressing sorrow from the Middle East, with the exception of one small beacon of light, when our prime minister, our president in Israel, our foreign minister, former foreign minister Gideon Sa'ar, and so many others have come out and expressed deep sorrow over Israel's dear friend, Charlie Kirk, to the degree that, to the best of my knowledge, the first mural commemorating Charlie Kirk was painted on a wall in Israel. There is a square in Netanya, one of Israel's great cities, that is being named after Charlie Kirk. And that's in the state of Israel. And it would be my guess that across the entire Middle East, you've heard crickets, other than the state of Israel, that is deeply sorrowful over the passing of Charlie Kirk.
So where do these come from? Why is it always, this obviously isn't new. This has been happening for 4,000 years, where there's something, in the world, and let's blame the Jews. But where does this come from? It's prevalent. I wish it was just a fringe element, but I'm getting texts from all sorts of normal level-headed people sending me this podcast and this Instagram reel and saying, well, how do you respond to this? Obviously, Israel did it somehow. How should people be processing this? How should they respond to this avalanche of content that's saying Israel, for some reason, killed one of its greatest defenders because in the past week or so, he had different opinions? I'm like, okay, well then why are all these other people that are way more vocal totally fine? Anyway, how would you respond to that?
Yeah, I would try to respond to it. I won't be able to do justice to Charlie Kirk's skill set, but I would try to respond to it with critical thinking. Charlie Kirk was an unquestionable friend of Israel and very outspoken in his support for Israel, the biblical perspective on Israel, his personal biblical perspective on Israel, the right of Israel to exist, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, he, like me, didn't think that everything that Israel does or has done is always perfect, right? And that's perfectly fine to feel that way. So we know that he was outspoken on behalf of Israel. We also know that he was outspoken and has been more and more outspoken in his critique of the advance of Islam across the globe, and also the fact that Islam is not compatible with Western civilization. He debated it, and he proclaimed it openly. And if you want to hear him where he was getting more and more vocal, it was on this subject. And the reason for that is because of the global expanse of it. And you can see it right here in our own country, right here in the United States of America. Go visit Dearborn, Michigan. Go visit some of these places where, people are trying to implement Sharia law. And he adamantly declared that Sharia law should be banned in Western civilization, in Western countries. And so in just putting on our critical thinking cap, let's just look at the bigger picture. Let's just step back for a minute from all the conspiracy theories and all of these accusations that are flying and look at the big picture. And he also stood for a word that many of these people hate, which is Judeo-Christian values. And the bottom line is, yes, there are differences between Israel and the United States, but there is a shared value system called Judeo-Christian values, which is the beating heart and the foundation on which Western civilization was founded and stands. And Charlie Kirk believed that, and he fought for it, and he talked about it. And, the enemies of that are really who he was most vocal against. If he were to be outspoken against somebody, it was the enemies of that way of life. It would make more sense. It would stand to reason that if there was any foreign actor involved, which we don't know that. We don't know that there was any entity other than a troubled youth that was involved. We don't know. Maybe there were, maybe there wasn't. But if there was, it would stand to reason to me that it wouldn't be somebody that he was speaking out on behalf of, but rather somebody that he was speaking out against.
Well, Senator Ted Cruz just tweeted an interesting tweet about this. He said, basically responding to people like Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson, the list goes on. He says, quote, "I'm getting really tired of Tucker and his cronies falsely claiming Charlie agreed with me that Israel is terrible and the problem in America is all the Jews. I knew Charlie well, and indeed, the very last conversation we had was how deeply concerned he was about the rising toxic wave of anti-Semitism on the right." And to me, this obsession with blaming the Jewish people, there's been a lot of Jewish blood spilled over the centuries, over the millennium, because it was the Jews' fault. And I get it. Like I understand that conspiracy theories scratch some deep itch inside of us that can blame someone else. But when over and over and over and over again throughout the centuries, these libels that have obviously been proven to be false, in the Middle Ages and Nazi Germany, results in the death and eventually, extermination in a lot of cases of the Jewish people. In certain pockets of the world, pogroms and inquisitions and whatever. It seems to be a pattern. But maybe, Shimon, in closing, okay, so when there is these pretty convincing, I guess you could call it, theories online, if you go down the rabbit trails, how should we initially be viewing this kind of onslaught that social media is pushing on us? Yeah, just your wisdom and discernment. Obviously, we're both followers of Jesus, followers of Yeshua. I just want to know how you think we should be handling this algorithm that's pushing all of these things right in front of our faces.
I think, again, we should take a page out of Charlie Kirk's book and use critical thinking and observation skills. And for those of you that are listening and watching, you have every right to whatever conspiracy theory you want. But I challenge you to find anyone in your community, in your city, in your state that's trying to impose Jewish or Israeli law on you, that's trying to take away your freedoms and tell you how to dress in the name of Judaism or Israel. There isn't anybody. Charlie Kirk knew that. Charlie Kirk knew who his friends were, who on the planet shared his value system and who did not. And he was outspoken on behalf of Israel and the Jewish people. And he was also equally outspoken on, who it is that's in our countries and in our states and in our communities that is not committed to freedom, that's committed and actively trying to take our freedoms away, trying to tell you here in America how you have to dress, what you can wear, what freedoms you should have, whatever your sexual orientation should be, et cetera, et cetera. And it's not the Jewish people. It's not Israel. And Charlie Kirk knew that. He spoke out about it. And I think that's how we should be looking at this and thinking about it. And I also think we should just be very practical and let the evidence come out on exactly what's behind this. There is no evidence. I have not been presented with any evidence whatsoever that gives any indication of foreign involvement in this. Doesn't mean that it didn't happen, but let's let that evidence speak for itself as it comes out. Not jump to conclusions, not be quick to pointing fingers, not spread more hatred. Let's just take a minute and pause.
Yeah. And I think it's important for all of us to remember, I've said this before, that there's going to be a lot of algorithms, a lot of, bots trying to get you all riled up and take our eyes off of what I think Charlie died for. And that's the gospel. That's the good news of Jesus, that he died, that he was buried, that he rose again on the third day. So I know it's really easy. It's really tempting to go down. And I'm not saying there aren't some super evil forces in this world. Of course there are. But how we fight that, to me, is to keep our eyes on the truth of Yeshua of Nazareth, the Jewish Messiah, the Yeshua HaMashiach, who was born in Judea, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, who has overcome sin, overcome death. That is what Charlie, in my opinion, died for, because I think all of his political opinions are downstream of that one fact, the most important fact in the history of the world, which is that Jesus of Nazareth rose from the grave. So let us keep our eyes on that, and then ask the Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, to help us have discernment and wisdom as we navigate the social media algorithms that definitely want to keep us divided, that definitely want to keep you angry, that definitely want to keep you frustrated, looking at all the wrong things. I think what we need to look at right now is to Jesus, because that's what Charlie gave his life for. So let us find joy in the Lord in this horrific season, because I think that's what Charlie would want us to do. But anyway, Shimon, I will definitely be talking to you soon. You have so much wisdom to give. But as for now, my friend, God bless.
Thanks, Raj.